What is going on, everybody? It's me, Vincent McLean, the Common Machine, and I'm back again with another Monday night Jibber Jabber. Today, I have another first-time guest on the show, and I'm super excited. This might be the greatest show ever. I'm just saying it out there because of who it is and the super awesome energy she brings to the comic book community. And also, honestly, I don't know how many other super awesome females are out there doing this nerd stuff like we are doing, but I knew I was going to have to get her on the show at some time. So, without further introduction, I got Jennifer from Comics Will Break Your Heart on the show today. Welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me here. Seriously, whenever you're I've got a super awesome intro for you, that intro bringing me to tears once again. Comics are breaking my heart. That was amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So I'm not gonna lie, half the reason I wanted to get you on here is my analytics were showing me that 100% of my audience is male, so I'm getting a little bit of extra plug here.
Okay.
But with that being said, though, I wanted to get more background on you and why you start doing comics and why you're so awesome at doing your live. So I don't constantly get to watch it. I'll watch a good chunk of it in your live, and it's really funny seeing you and Mars, who's the other one that's always on there, just nerding out hardcore. So what is it that brought you to comics? What is it? Is it the read? Is it the art? Is it both? What origin story? Go.
100% my origin story. If I had to pinpoint it to anything, I'm going to say that my origin story is 100% Neil Gaiman. In middle school, I had read Neverwhere and then found out, and I read a couple of the other stories. American Gods ended up being one of my favorite stories. Found out that he did comic books and read The Sandman, and that is 100% my absolute favorite book of all time. So I would, if I could blame anyone and forward my monthly comic book budget, how much I spend a bill, it would be to Neil Gaiman. 100% blame those stories.
So Neil Gaiman, right? Okay. So are you talking I just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
You're talking about this one, right?
Yes. Yep. 100%.
So I also am a Sandman guy. And I don't have the giant. Wait. What do you got? What is that? What is that? What are you showing?
I mean, this is just a stack of some of my first appearances that I just had kind of handy.
Oh, nice.
And so there's a couple there, but the one I was gonna pull out is this one right here. Is 1,000% my favorite comic of all time.
So I will agree, that's an awesome comic. So I've got the three big ones out of that run. So I picked this book up out of a back issue bin. It's graded around, it's not graded, but it's valued at an 8.85, and I pulled it out for $20 out of a bin.
Oh my.
And then Sandman issue number 4, I have at a graded 9.6, and then I was finally able to achieve the number 1. I picked that up last year. That was one of my favorite books. I did pay a good price for that book. I mean, it's an expensive, major, big first appearance. So yeah,
especially with all the hype coming around I think last year the audiobook came out for Sandman, and then of course all the announcements with the Netflix show for Sandman.
Oh yeah.
Definitely that book keeps going up and up and up.
We're going to get into all of that because I'm glad that you're a Sandman person, because
100%.
I feel like not a lot of people get it. So let's hit this chat. We got a couple of people here. What is up, Andy? Thanks for stopping by. I see you're listening while you're pulling books for Friday. Awesome. Appreciate it. The Fantastic Girl. Hello. I think you were a first person on the Monday Night Jibber Jabber. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. So it seems like we're already starting off on a super awesome topic here. So I am a big Sandman fan. I'm glad you're a big Sandman fan. Yeah. And I I think I have read up to issue 5 or 6. I usually like I want to read comics. I do, but like I'm also like as of right now, I'm just binging on some super awesome shows. I'm doing Star Wars Rebels right now, so like I'm super focused on Star Wars. But when I do read comics, it's usually going to be like a big important comic like Sandman or Berserker. And you know, the Thor run or the Venom run's coming to an end with Donny Cates. But there are some of those big books that I read.
If you don't mind me asking, have you were you able to catch the King in Black stuff that's been going on?
So I did. I read the first issue. I think I got the second issue. I feel like I missed like the third, fourth issue, but I did read issue 5. So I'm familiar with the awesomeness that ended up happening with that. So I'm aware of that. It was pretty epic seeing Eddie Brock become the god of light, and then he's just like Mjolnir, Silver Surfer, surfboard, just just like whoosh. Okay, that was pretty fucking cool. That was sick.
I love how like there's a whole bunch of like little bits and pieces kind of coming through everywhere. It was really fun. I think that it was almost an underrated comic event. I mean, granted, like Marvel's always going to do comic events, but definitely underrated.
Yeah, I feel like the King in Black event was better. I don't know. Maybe this is not the right thing to say, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I feel like it was better probably because I was interested in Venom more so than say like the X-Men events that were happening last year that were just like fucking everywhere, all over the place.
My
and I only
heart
bring
is
that
broken.
I only bring that up because I remember Andy, Comic Man Andy, was pulling like every single book and every cover and every like issue, and he was just like, I'm just getting completely overwhelmed. I don't even know what to do. But I didn't feel like that for Venom and for the King of Black. Look who we got here. We got Skeff's Comic Knowledge. Skeff, it's 8 o'clock. How are you here this early? Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Fantastic girl. I've read a couple issues. It's been great, but I'm so behind. Yes, it is a struggle. It is a struggle being a comic book collector and a reader, because if you get behind, then you're just like, well, the stack's just going to keep piling up.
It really does. And I mean, I usually pick up my stack each week at the comic book store is usually going to be at least 20 books each week. And that's just like current reads. That's usually not like back issues and variants and things like that. And seriously, if there's a week where I fall behind and I miss 5 or 10, those are usually going to the bottom of next week's pile. And then there's just some that kind of go to the bottom, and then some that ultimately I don't even read, right?
Right.
So yeah, I fit. If you miss, the secret to me getting through my stack is to just read them all on Wednesdays. Those are the most successful weeks. Just read all 20 on Wednesday.
Wow, that's a lot. That is a lot of reading, and I will commend you for being able to do that, because unless I am like that dedicated to the title and the series and everything with it, it's probably not going to happen. Like I need a super awesome interest for it. And I got that with Venom and King in Black and stuff like that.
Because even there was like a couple of like little spin-off series. Some were good, some were bad. So those weren't like necessary to this story, but if you're like committed and you're like, I'm going to read all of them, then yeah, that's just way too much.
So we touched on, you know, the more mainstream kind of comic. So what would say be your favorite indie comic right now? Is it Saga to make Andy happy, or
100% Saga? If like whenever people usually ask me what are my favorite comic books, Sandman is my favorite, 100% my favorite, like old school, I guess, that like got me into comics. And then Saga is my favorite current series. And now that we're literally going on year 3 of the Saga hiatus, my life is incomplete without Saga right now.
That is a good. I'm intrigued. I did read the issue 1. I am familiar with it. I've read issue 1. Andy won't send me a Saga book, neither will Skeff. But
What do you mean won't send you a saga book?
they've got like 8 million saga books, and they won't send me one. You know, that's how
I
they
mean,
are.
there's 55 single issues and 9
And Eddie's got them
trades.
all in multiple issues, and he won't
Yeah.
send me one.
Well,
just giving him flack for it,
yeah.
honestly.
So you don't have the trades at all?
No, I read it online.
Okay.
And so that's how I read it. I'll just find like a free site and I'll read my comics online that way.
Got it.
What about Skeff's over here? Okay, Skeff's got Invincible. Have you read Invincible?
I have. It's so funny because I actually have it right here because yesterday on my Sunday, because I do a Sunday chat with Mars on my channel. Mars is that comic girl. We kind of briefly talked about Invincible versus Jupiter's Legacy, and I have read Invincible. I feel like this book gets so much better after the first volume, and I've only read the first volume. So I have read it. Wasn't my favorite, but I know so many people love this series so much. I feel like I need to go back and read like all 20 volumes of it, but just haven't yet.
Okay. Have you watched the show?
I have watched half of the first episode and couldn't get into it. And I hear that it gets insanely violent and ridiculous. So I haven't gone back and gotten into it. Yeah.
Okay, so you started watching the first episode, and I'm just going to assume life happened and you got distracted, not that you got bored of it,
I've got
right?
a lot of reading to do. I've got to read 20 books a week.
Okay, all right. So this is what you have to do. You have to finish the first episode because at the end of the first episode, there's a giant holy shit moment, and it will drag you in because it does. It gets really good. I don't think I can speak enough for the Invincible series, the TV series. Now, what is Jupiter's Legacy? So I just saw that just dropped on Netflix. Is this supposed to be like a Netflix version of The Boys or something like that?
Well, yes and no. So Jupiter's Legacy, there's technically 4 books in the series because there's volumes 1 and 2 of Jupiter's Legacy and volumes 1 and 2 of Jupiter's Circle. And it kind of goes like back and forth between time. So it's basically about this like superhero family and I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like The Boys because I feel like The Boys is very, very crass, where Jupiter's Legacy isn't necessarily crass, but it does delve into some topics about what it means to be part of a family that has superpowers and the responsibilities. And with great responsibility or great powers comes great responsibility. And you're my son and you need to do this. So Jupiter's Legacy is published by Image Comics, just like Invincible. Not as necessarily violent and, like I said, crass as The Boys.
Okay. All right. I kind of got like a very like a Greek mythology kind of like Olympus kind of dealio. Does that kind of fit a little bit?
Kind of, because it definitely goes into like this big mythos of what it means to be a superhero.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That'll work. What is up, Jaguar? Thanks for stopping by. What is up, Comic Burrito? How are you doing? I'm going to assume it's Cole because he usually hops on here while he's watching wrestling. So what is up? How's it going? Okay. All right. So The Boys. We got onto The Boys. You've read The Boys?
So The Boys I have not read. I have only watched the first season of The Boys.
Okay. So second season is super great.
Okay.
It's super good. You should definitely finish that out. And then also, I got a thingy here for season 3. This is a spec book for season 3. I picked me up a Hero Gasm issue #1. And this is the first appearance of Soldier Boy, who is supposed to be portrayed by heartthrob Jensen Ackles.
Who is Jensen Ackles?
Jensen Ackles is known for playing Dean Winchester in the Supernatural TV series that just ended. So, yes, it is going to be super good. I'm super excited. And I cannot wait for the next season of The Boys. I think, yeah, like I don't know what other TV show is going to be like that epic when it drops.
I love all of these shows, like the 3 shows that we just mentioned, are pretty spectacular, and I really think that they are making non-mainstream superheroes accessible to mainstream audiences,
Hmm.
because I think that for a lot of people, if they watch an MCU movie, right? Like they go and see the Avengers, or they go and see like the Infinity War
Hmm.
movies, they're going to go to their shop and they're going to be overwhelmed by, you know, half a century's worth of comic books to kind of choose from. Like, where do you start? And I
Right.
love that, if someone watches The Boys, they, I mean, like, granted, it was out of production for a little bit and it was hard to find a first copy,
Hmm.
but it's so easy to be like, okay, go pick up volume 1 of The Boys, go pick up volume 1 of
Yes.
Invincible, go pick up volume 1 of Jupiter's Legacy. So I love that these non-Marvel DC superhero stories are here, because I think my biggest like if I feel like my message was anything, is that like comics are for everyone, and I want everyone to read them, and I think that the more easily accessible comics are for people, then the more people get into it.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. What is up, Nemesis Prime? Thank you, Justin, for stopping by. He was on last Monday Night Jibber
Yeah.
Jabber for the first time, and that was awesome. Talked lots of Star Wars stuff. Thank you for reigniting my Star Wars awesomeness. Thank you. Greg, the bearded comic bro. What is up, bro? I'm making moves. About time you get someone who isn't Andy Dustner Skeff. Damn, savage. All right.
Oh, Greg, I don't know if you know, but I do a show with Greg on Friday nights called Comic Talk Live over on Will DeBeast. It was here on The Kid, but now it's Will DeBeast. So we do a show on Friday, and he's one of my favorite people. So thank you for being here, Greg.
Oh, that's so
Aw.
sweet. Greg is
Even
so
though
mean
we
to me all
disagree,
the
I was gonna say,
time.
even though we disagree on a ton of things, totally appreciate the dude.
Oh yeah, he's super awesome. I love Greg. Greg was actually, I think Greg might have been the actual first guest on the Monday Night Jibber Jabber, like official guest, like came
Official.
on and we talked once in future whenever that was like really good in the beginning, and it's kind of just like a little bit, unfortunately. So yeah, like you were talking about how your pull list is like legitimately 20 books a week.
Yeah.
My pull list, I think, is 5 titles. I think I have 5 titles on my pull list.
What are those 5 titles?
Okay, so
If that's okay. I mean, some people like their pull list is private, which I understand.
that's weird, but sure. Okay. So my pull list was Venom, Thor, The Last Ronin, Berserker. I feel like there was something else. I know I pulled Once in Future. I pulled We Only Find Them When They're Dead. I feel like there's something else I'm missing that when I go there to pick it up and I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
I feel like Something is Killing the Children should be on that list.
Okay, so I missed out on Something Killing the Children, like 100%. But I was able to get me a foil variant of the issue number 1, so I'm good. I'm good. But I did read, I think I read like up to issue 3 of Something Killing the Children, and it's not that I didn't like it. It's not that I didn't think it was good. It just wasn't. It's not one of those that like sucked me in enough to where I wanted to like really be into it. Like I have to have like a really good, super solid like connection off the bat, and it's got to be able to maintain. But I really am more of a collector rather than a reader. Like my reads are very picky in particular. So I will say probably my favorite reads are going to be Hellboy. So I've got a bunch of Hellboy trades over here I've read. My favorite indie that I've read that I have a trade of is God Country.
Okay.
And then Swamp Thing. Saga of the Swamp Thing. Yes, definitely.
Are you reading it right now?
No. Okay. And if Legion of Comics comes in here and he hears that, he's gonna hate me. But he did tell me it's really good. He did tell me that the DC Swamp Thing is really good, where they brought in a whole new character for it, a whole new avatar. So I am interested. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yes, I think I
is
think
so
it's
good.
going to be intriguing.
I feel like I am contractually obligated to talk about this at this point. So Ram V is an incredible writer, and if you're not reading Swamp Thing and/or you're not reading The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, you totally should be. One of the reasons why I love this, and I mention this on like every show that I'm on now, is that Swamp Thing calls out for me. Right here. So this was this last week's issue. So
Oh, that's
Swamp
so
Thing.
cool.
I'm kind of biased, but I really love Swamp Thing a lot.
That's really cool. Yes, like I said, I'm more of a comic book collector first. Then the reads are like very particular, but yes, I do prefer dark reads. I prefer really nitty gritty and stuff like that. So Sandman, Swamp Thing, John Constantine stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm very on top of that.
Did you know, fun fact, that Constantine has a Swamp Thing tattoo?
I feel like I might have heard that, maybe, but like I could totally see that,
Constantine has a little Swamp Thing tattoo on his butt because Swamp Thing took over Constantine's body so he could have a sexual, intimate relationship with his wife girlfriend. And so Constantine now has like a little Swamp Thing tattoo on his butt.
Oh my god,
on his
that
butt
is hilarious.
cheek.
Okay, I don't even know, but that's hilarious.
I didn't know if you expected this type of content.
No, it's totally
while
fine.
I was here, but
no, that's totally fine.
Welcome.
Okay, so let's get this chat. Greg is a bully, but he's our bully. Yes, he is.
Aww.
I am mean to push you, Vincent. Okay, I'm gonna need you to speak proper words if you're gonna do something. Greg said Jennifer's pull list is 5 variants per book.
It really is. There's some weeks I've been doing better. This last week I think I only got 2 variant covers, but there are some weeks where there was one week where I think I got 14 variant covers. So yeah.
Cole, I pull all of these books. Variants are silly as I solely cut pulls to buy more variants. That's hilarious. Oh yeah, Skeff Comics Knowledge hates Something Killing Children. He absolutely hates it, obviously. Jennifer, what number does Saga land on your list of all-time reads?
2. Because like I said, Sandman and Saga, I feel like those are probably the 2 comics hands down I recommend the most often to people.
Awesome.
Usually I recommend Sandman to people who are maybe into comics and haven't read it. And Saga, surprisingly, there's still a lot of people who haven't even begun to touch Saga, and that's usually the one that I recommend to maybe new readers who if maybe someone is a longtime reader of Spider-Man or like any of the superheroes,
give them something different.
Give them something different, but people who are like, okay, I lean towards indie books, I kind of like that, I'm like, Saga, you got to read Saga.
Right.
Yeah.
What is up, Zuni? Thanks for stopping by. It took Jennifer 20 minutes to mention Swamp Thing. That's a new record.
Yeah. I haven't mentioned Dune yet. That's another thing that I will mention all the time is Dune.
Dune. Oh my goodness. Come on, Mama. Thanks for stopping by. I was waiting for you to hop in. What's going on? I'm going to skip over Greg being a goofball. I smell a Saga team up show. Andy, that would definitely be in your wheelhouse. Definitely. Comic Burrito, my daughter's name is Hazel. Hashtag I love Saga.
I love that. I love that
and
so much.
Come on, Mama. I just read Saga 1 in the last couple of minutes. It was a good read. So, yes, Saga is a good read. Like I said, I've read the first issue. I was intrigued, but I would definitely want to continue reading it. Now, Justin's got a question. Would you recommend Saga to children to read?
Nope. Maybe 14 and above.
I think he's being facetious,
okay.
but still, explain.
No, I love it, but Saga gets a little bit spicy, so definitely would not recommend Saga to maybe any kids under 16. I mean, my first delving into the internet when I was like 12 years old was rotten.com, and so I saw some heavy spicy stuff when I was really young, and even though what's in Saga is way milder than any of that, I don't think I'd recommend. Saga has some pretty intense like drug use themes and sexual themes, and even I appreciate those, but not for kids.
Right. Yes, Greg, I have acknowledged you. You exist.
Notice me, senpai.
Yeah. Andy says, Vincent, tell her the story about the India Comic Con variant story. Andy, I don't remember all the details for that, but I'm gonna assume it's really good. So you're gonna have to tell her that story when you do a saga mashup. So
I want to
you know we'll hold that story. That's your story. I'm gonna let you tell that story. Greg is being needy. It's okay. We still love him. Cole reads saga to his daughter Hazel.
Oh,
Okay. All right. So we got 11 people up in here. Thank you for everybody stopping by. I very much appreciate it. But yeah, so I honestly the big thing I am super excited for with all the all the hype and all the new TV shows coming out, I really truly am excited to see what they're going to do with Sandman. I really am. They have done a lot of casting for all of that, and it's going to be on Netflix, and I hope it's going to be dark and brutal and gritty. And as a collector, I feel like I'm finally ahead of the curve on that because I've got the 3 big books for that. With that being said, I also feel like I'm finally ahead of the curve today because the new Venom trailer dropped today. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I have not. And that's because like I literally like clocked out from work, got ready, and then hopped on.
Okay.
So I'll definitely be watching it as soon as this is done.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I am super happy about that because I do have a Venom. Or no, I do have an Amazing Spider-Man 361. My wife actually found it. We were at the comic book shop, and I was like, I haven't looked for any Spider-Man in a while. Dig through this, and then tell me if you find this, this, and this. And she's just like, all right. And she just starts digging. She's like, hey, this is a big book. And it was
like,
ASM 361. I was like, fuck yes, that's a big book. And I think I paid maybe $20 for the book. And it's like in pretty good condition. So I'm super, super happy about that. But you should definitely check the trailer out because like the anticipation for the Venom 2 with Woody Harrelson being Cletus Cassidy, he looks insane, literally insane. So I'm super excited about that. And it's going to be awesome. What would you say? Would you say that the Donny Cates Venom is the best iteration of Venom that you've read? Because you're the reader, so I have to get your opinion on that. What would you say is your best Venom read, considering the news that came out today?
I will be very 100% transparent. That is a side of comics I am not too familiar with, and I am most familiar with Donny Cates. So
Same.
that's definitely easily going to be like, and I think that when you take a look at some of those, it's maybe a little bit more relevant to today. So anything that Donny Cates has done, I would recommend if someone was like, oh, like what would you recommend? If I liked the movie or, if I was interested in understanding the movie.
Right,
Those would
right.
be it. Yeah.
So I've got a Venom. It's not out on display, but I've got a Venom 3 slabbed in 9.8 over here. And everybody, including Skeff, mostly Skeff, she's like, you should sell it if you want to sell it. Now's the time to sell it. But it's like, okay, like Venom 2 looks like it's going to be pretty cool. The God Butcher's coming in Love and Thunder. The Necro Sword might make an appearance. Like,
so funny story. My if you like, I get asked often, like, because my partner, who is also into comic books, like, who gets who books, or who gets like what books. And I think I told you backstage that I have about 20 short and long boxes mixed together, and everyone is like, oh, like, well, what's yours, what's theirs. And they we argue a little bit about like who actually has most of the collection, and their part of the collection is probably like a quarter of a short box. And of course in it is the appearance of God Butcher and Thor. We actually argue a lot about who is the owner of this one right here, and they're not listening. I'm telling you, it's me. So yeah, we that run on Thor is definitely theirs.
Right.
But
Right. Oh man. Let's see here. Goodness gracious. Okay, everybody in the chat, I appreciate you stopping by. I'm going to scroll through here quickly so we can get all caught up. Goodness gracious. Bearded, still talking about Saga. Saga isn't as spicy as Comic Burrito. I mean, maybe. We have never gotten naked on the Comic Burrito yet. You haven't gotten naked yet. Okay.
Yeah.
That's shocking. That's hilarious. Let's see. Your best friend Travis took his shirt off. I only took mine off on Whack. I actually took my shirt off one time when we were doing a live on Old Woof's when he was doing the late Friday show. And me and Perry were both in there. We were both wearing the same Deadpool shirt.
Aww.
And I was just like, no, can't have that.
Hashtag
Venom
twinning.
Yeah, Venom is voiced by a Cookie Monster in this movie. You know, honestly, I don't hate it, but I could see why some people are a little bit about it. Old school MTGJM, what is up? Thanks for stopping by. The Southern Comic Geek, Jason, how are you doing, man? Thanks for having me on your live the other day. It was really awesome hanging out and just talking comics and all that awesomeness. I think she reads indies. I'm pretty sure. But yeah,
I've got I read a lot of you can't see my single issues, but Marvel's right here. I've got some DC right here, and literally the rest of it is all independent books. Yeah, I like independent books.
Yeah, independent books.
Yeah.
Someone just did an RKO on Raw. FYI, it was out of nowhere. That's how it's supposed to be. Goodness gracious. Fantastic Girl. She's so excited. I'm gonna assume it's for Venom. Yes, I cannot wait for Venom. Greg, I got an ASM 361 and mystery box, which is cool. Sweet. So I don't know if you guys know. I'm gonna pull up eBay here so we can look at some eBay prices. So as soon as the trailer dropped this morning at 8 something, I was on eBay looking to see what the price spike was looking like, and it's definitely shocking to say the least. So just for raw copies, people are asking for $400 easy for ASM 361 and slabs out the wazoo anyways. So
it's so funny because I know a lot of people who are into the Bitcoin cryptocurrency type market, and I know Dogecoin is up there, and I'm like, nah man, invest in comics.
Well, honestly, it's probably should be a bit of both. Yeah. But yeah, comics is definitely a good investment because especially now with all the technology starting to get really super awesome for movies and TV shows, get some of those good books and hold on to it, and eventually it's going to come around. So,
I feel like it's like real estate at this point. The price is only going up, but then I say that knowing that the huge crash in the 90s. So
Justin from Nemesis Prime says Rick Remender run on Venom. I know not who that is, so I'm going to assume it's right because it's coming from Nemesis Prime.
I am not a big fan of Rick Remender. There's maybe 2 books of his that I like out of the 10 that I've read.
What is it you don't particularly like about Rick?
I hate all of the characters that he writes.
Oh,
I know that they're supposed to be crappy characters. I know that they're supposed to be kind of dirtbag characters, but I feel like I don't relate to them.
Goodness gracious.
I also, last year in, I think it was July or August, I did a 100 graphic novel challenge on myself and read 100 graphic novels and reread books like Black Science and Low. And I think just reading those books all at once, I'm like, I hate this so much.
Oh no.
So I don't know if it was that, but since then I'm like, man, I haven't really loved anything that Rick Remender has done lately, but I also haven't read their Venom run, so maybe I'll go back and see.
Yeah, see if it'll work. But man, here we go. Mastodon Comics and Music. What's up? Thanks for stopping by. All hail indie comics. Yes, indie comics are pretty super awesome. Yeah. I will attest to that. There was one that sold for $1,700 today. I am not surprised because as soon as the trailer dropped, everybody lost their shit. Yeah. So it's not surprising. Old school 361 has 2 prints and is extremely overprinted for the price, in my opinion. And you have one. I could see that. I almost kind of think maybe the second print might even be a little bit more collectible because there probably is not as many.
Yeah.
That's
Like a
usually
low
not how
print
it
run.
goes.
Yeah.
But who knows? Justin Comics, what's up, bro? Happy birthday in July. It's not July yet, but yeah.
Happy
But
early
Deadly
birthday.
Class.
You know, Deadly Class is the one that I do like. I actually really do like Deadly Class. Yep.
Oh, look what you did.
I'm sorry. I should maybe not change my name.
you it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. You'll be good.
Jennifer will break your comics heart.
Oh,
That.
good lord. Remender's Uncanny Force is supposed to be really good, apparently, from Macedona Comics. So yeah. Let's see. So Sandman, Thor, Venom, Venom trailer, Invincible, The Boys, Saga. What else? God Country.
Uh-huh.
Did you like God Country?
I read the first trade. Is there a second trade of God Country? I've only read the first one.
It should just be one 6 issue.
Yeah. Are you reading Crossover?
No, I was collecting it. I was pulling it. I think I don't remember enough about it.
Okay.
And yes, like I'm such a Donny Cates hoe. I am, but I just like at that time I was not reading anything, and like the pull list was just like getting out of hand, so I had to cut a whole bunch of stuff. So I missed out on some of that, unfortunately.
I think that if you like missed out on reading it, I think that it'll be a really easy trade read. They just finished up the first arc, and man, I don't want to like spoil anything, but it's basically like the start of this like shared image universe within Crossover, and they just did finish the first arc, so the first trade should be coming out probably soon, maybe within a month or two.
Awesome. So here we go. Old school. What do you think of Keanu Reeves' new series, Berserker?
So Berserker is exactly the series that I would think that it would be, considering that it's in my opinion, I think Berserker is just like Keanu Reeves writing himself a comic that can be adapted into a movie. And I think it is what it is. I'm reading it. I don't know how to say this maybe lightly or delicately, but I feel like it is what it is. It hasn't surprised me. It's still really good though, but I'm waiting for the moment for Berserker to just like do something that like flips a switch that I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a really, really good book. But I see it 100% as like the next Keanu Reeves movie.
So now that you explain it like that, I see that. However, I'm really intrigued by the story, especially, I mean, shit, at the end of the first book, and you're like, okay, so this dude has been alive since the dawn of time. Okay, that's pretty fucking cool.
Especially when you see that like baby latching onto the bloody tit.
I mean, somebody's got to take inspiration from Saga somewhere, right?
You're right. I think I feel like, okay, so here's what I do have to say about Berserker. I think that the way that it was written, here's how I imagine that the writing of Berserker went down. Is it Matt Kint and maybe like a couple of other executives, not Keanu Reeves, but maybe Keanu Reeves like people were in a room and they're like,
Matt Kint is like the top head honcho for it.
Yeah. So I think that they were all just in a room and they're like, what are we going to do with this guy? And he's just a warrior and he has lived for a really long time and he just goes berserk and, oh, cool, let's call him Berserker. And, you know, it 100% to me is Fast and Furious. To me, I don't like look too deep into it. I just know it's there for the action and I'm just going to enjoy the ride.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that's totally good. So like more John Wick rather than like Matrix at this point.
Yes, 100%. And I love the John Wick movies. So I really hope that whatever production team maybe did John Wick can do Berserker, because I think it
Right.
would be fantastic as an adaptation, but this comic book is an action movie to me.
Right. I definitely want to see more expanding on the series to kind of get a little bit more comic booky. Let's throw some serious curveballs in here and like really go a little bit wild with it, because they're obviously, I mean, time is not an issue, right, within the comic book, because it
So
literally
they
goes
could
from dawn
anywhere.
of time, so they could literally go all the way there. There's like neural implants and shit, so let's get a little bit spicy in this. So
And I think that because, like, if you read the second issue, and I don't want to spoil too much, but in the second issue, there
oh, I've read
is
it.
okay. So in the second issue, they go back to the beginning whenever Berserker, this character, was created
Yep.
and was gestating in the womb, and the mom does this like mystical ritual. So I
Hmm.
think that it could even like if it goes supernatural in the third issue and blends like that to me, like I love anything science fictiony. So if they do like a really cool science fiction technology, but with like something supernatural and otherworldly, like to me, that's when I'm like, okay, like this is the book you've got to be reading.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
would like pump it up a little bit. Not that it hasn't
Mhm.
been pumped up, but it needs just like a pinch more.
Right. I definitely agree. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see what the chat has to say here. Man, thanks for everybody stopping by and
Yeah.
watching. I very much appreciate it. Um, okay. So, Mastodon, Nemesis, it's in my digital library hopefully soon. I think they were talking about that Remembrin
Remender.
X-Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on, Mama. She really liked crossover.
Mhm.
Awesome. Did he just call himself Donny Cates Ho? Yes, I did call myself a Donny Cates Ho. I think the only person I know that's not a Donny Cates Ho is probably Dustin from Two Brothers, to be honest. No, your sarcasm does not translate well online. It doesn't, but we still love you. Crossover, is that the connected with
Yeah,
Solid Blood Jennifer?
exactly. So, Solid Blood 17 is a crossover. Greg knows what's up.
There you go. Okay, so I like it so far, but Jennifer's right. Needs to flip my lid here soon. It'll drop everything but the cover A.
Yeah.
Right. So did you collect any variants of Berserker, or did you just go straight cover A?
Issue 1, I think I got 3 different covers, and then issue 2, I just got the one.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Let's say it's like Firepower.
Yeah. I read I'm not reading Firepower in the single issues that I waited for the trade. A good solid story, but it hasn't like pumped it up for me yet.
I know Steve over at Burke Family 54 is really big into Firepower.
Mhm.
At one point, I did have the free comic book day and the number one, and then I was just like, I'm gonna trade it up for some other comics that I'm
Mhm.
trying to collect. So I didn't really get much of that. Let's see. Yeah, come on, Mama says we need more story. I agree. I just can't wait for them to expand. Like, I want them to do a better job of expanding the universe than what they did with We Only Find Them When They're Dead. So
Yeah.
I read up to 3 or 4 issues of that. Like, I was really excited because like that cover A, like the whole title takes up the entire thing of the entire comic book, and it looked
Mhm.
really cool, spacey, intriguing, and they just kept like putting the carrot out there and then just kept it too far away for me to be super interested in it. So
Yeah.
I really wanted to, yeah. Let's see. Greg, I'm not good at a lot. Come on, Mama. So I have to do what I can. Yeah. Nick's Kicks and Comics. What is up?
Hey.
Thanks for stopping by. How are you? I don't think I've seen you guys on the show, so thank you if you're a first time stopping by, or appreciate it. Okay, so let's see. So you said you've got 20 short boxes and long boxes.
Yeah.
Are you just going to hold on to all of those forever? Do you have
No.
any aspirations to trade those out, sell them?
Oh,
What are you going to do?
100%. I've got about 5 or 6 right now that I'm like long boxes, that I could easily sell. There's um, I kind of go back and forth between this because my monthly comic book budget could probably buy me a Sandman #1 each month, but instead I spend it on like new single issues that are coming out. So
Mhm.
I think right now I'm thinking about selling just a lot of the stuff that I have in my collection, trimming down and buying those keys. So there's like 4 or 5 keys that are just on my brain that I'm like, go ahead and get them now, before the prices go up anymore.
So what are the keys that you're looking for?
Um, Definitely, Sandman #1. I don't have the I have the what is it, the second printing of it or the
Goodness
not the
gracious.
True Believers, but the like the dollar reprint, whatever that one is.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm looking there. What are we seeing there?
Well, it's not pulling up the right thing
Like
here. Goodness
yeah.
gracious.
I see a
Come
lot
on,
of
stop being a
number
turd.
eights. Um Sandman #1.
Do the thing. Here we go.
Okay.
What is the year? It's 1989. Here,
Hmm.
we'll do this here. Okay, so I prefer buy it nows. I don't know if you do that, but
Yeah.
that's what I do. So I bought my Sandman #1 for 150,
Oh.
175.
Mhm.
I got a fairly good deal on it. What about condition? Is that a big factor for you when it comes to something
If
like
I'm
this?
gonna buy, to be honest, if I'm gonna buy a #1 on that, I'm probably, if I would, I'd probably wanna buy it graded.
Okay.
And I would definitely, I think if you're spending that much money, just go big or go home and get the 9.6 or 9.8 of that. I know
Yeah,
that's in
the
kind of
the
incredibly, tough to find, but,
mhm.
um, I'm thinking, like, probably at least 6 or $700.
Right, right. That's like the going full on comic man Andy.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be a 9.8 collector of
Yep.
everything Punisher. So yeah, I get it. Um, for me, for a big book like that, man, having to come up, with
Yeah.
500 or shoot, even a 9.4. I mean, that's still a great copy
Mhm.
book. So I get it. Like the price on that is like definitely expensive. That's part of the reason why I started selling my collection. So this is the shameless plug here. So Friday night is going to be the second live auction on Skeff's Comic Knowledge with me, Comic Man Andy, and Justin Comics. So it was very successful and it was quite the shit show the first time around a couple weeks ago, but it was really good. So I do understand because I do have a book that I'm going to be trying to go for, and it's going to be probably close to $1,000, and
Yeah.
that's going to be the most money I've ever spent on a comic. Holy fucking
What
shit!
book is that?
So I want to get me a Hulk 180.
Okay, yep.
No, I want to get me a decent Hulk 180, and I'd like to have one with the Marvel stamp intact, if at all possible. If I could find one, man, if I could find one like in the 1200, oh god, it makes me so cringy because it's just like, oh,
Yep.
that's so much. But
Mhm.
like part of the reason why I want to do that is I want to get a bigger blue chip book. Like I feel like
Mhm.
the Sandman one's a pretty good blue chip
Yeah.
book. I've got a Tomb of Dracula #10
Ooh, okay. Yep.
that I want to get graded. It needs to get cleaned and pressed, and then I want to get graded. Um, I've got a Daredevil 4 First Purple Man
Mhm.
because the Daredevil series on Netflix was the best series that they did, and because I'm a huge Doctor Who fan too.
Oh, yeah.
David
Mhm.
Tennant is my
And Jessica
doctor.
Jones, yeah.
So I had to get me a Mr. Purple Man for David Tennant. So I got that. Um, and then I was super excited to find out that they announced the Green Lantern series that they're going to be doing. And
Mhm.
I've got a Guy Gardner first appearance of Green Lantern 59. That was actually one of the first big books that I like threw out some cash for. So I got some of those big books, but I don't have like a blue chip book. So
Yeah.
going for the Hulk 180 is going to be my idea of getting like a big solid blue chip book.
I feel like that's me too. Like I don't have I mean like there's ones that are really special to me. Like obviously Sandman #8 is super special to me. And then like I've got a couple of other first appearances that I've been thinking about getting graded and I think that one of the other like big big ones that I want to do is House of Secrets 92, which is Swamp Thing, and like
Ugh.
9.6, 9.8 is easily over 1,000, and I could 100% take my monthly comic book budget and buy that and be okay. But I think I just want to sell off like $5,000 of my collection and then just
Oh my god,
go to town.
I totally forgot about Swamp Thing. Like maybe I'll switch to a Swamp Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. I get a 6.5 for 18. Oh, or a 4.5 PGX. Yeah, I might. I don't know. Like there's some big ones out there, but the goal is I think I want to try to sell and get at least $1,000 of comic book spending cash to be able to put towards something. And I feel like once I have that, then I'll have a better idea of like, okay, what do I really, really, really want?
Yep.
Because like the Hulk 180, that's a really big, awesome Bronze Age key book. But I don't know. Like it was a toss up because like I had X-Men 12.
Okay.
First Juggernaut.
Yeah.
I had Swamp Thing 37, First Constantine, the Hulk 180, or a TMNT third print #1. Those were the books I was thinking. So I asked a whole bunch of people in the community, and everybody's like, "Go for the 180." I was like, "All right." So I don't know, might be subject to change. So let's see where this chat's gone. Oh my god, you guys are super awesome with all the comments going on here. Goodness gracious. Yes. Nick's Comics and Kids, thanks for stopping by. It was the perfect distance of a carrot. No, it wasn't. Come on, Mama. I am hoping the next part We Only Find Them When They're Dead really picks up. We'll see. I'm gonna have to hear it from everybody because like I said, I'm not really reading it right now, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to see what Jennifer says on her shit show that she does with Mars because it is fun watching you guys do that show. It's a lot of fun. I do enjoy it.
We get so ridiculous. We well, maybe not we. Mars accused a comic book creator of liking the smell of their own farts yesterday. So that was that's the kind of zaniness that you can expect on the Sunday, the Casually Comics Sunday chat that we do.
Whenever you said that, the only thing I saw was the episode of South Park where they moved and they're just like smelling their own farts. Like San Francisco, thanks. You know, that's one of my favorite gifts to send the wife when it's like, hey, you know, blah blah blah. And she's like, thanks. You know, send that out. Oh my god. Okay, Greg. Nick has hung out on Lamer Frame, unlike any burrito boy, Jennifer or Vincent. Yes. I am not a good drawer, and I'm not about to embarrass myself on that. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Not that it wouldn't be cool, but you know.
I will only be on Lamer Frame is if I get a Tuesday night off where I can go, and then if Jimmy from Small Town Collectibles can go, because we have vowed that we're going to go on and try to see who is the worst drawer artist, because he's such a great dude, Jimmy from Small Town Collectibles, and would love to hang out with him on that show.
Yeah, that's awesome. Vincent, get a first Super Pro. It's in your price range. I don't know what that is.
You haven't watched his video on why Super Pro is like the best comic book character out there?
I have not seen that. Why is it? Please explain to me why Super Pro is the best comic book character out there.
You're just gonna have to go watch his video. He did a whole video about it.
Fine. All right, Greg, I'll go watch your Super Pro video. I don't know about that. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Okay, Justin Comics has a question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite tattoo, Jen?
That like one of my tattoos. So I'm trying to I'm running down all of the ones that I have. I do have right here I have Death done in like an Art Nouveau style. That you can see there. That's one of my favorites. I do also have a very large octopus on my thigh. That's a little bit harder to see and requires me to, so you won't be able to see that one. But yeah.
That is awesome because my wife wants to get a super awesome octopus on her thigh because she has arms, but she has no legs. So she wants to get a leg tattoo.
Yeah.
She wants to get a giant one. Beard. I do watch it. I was watching you and your wife do name that comic book character, and you guys were doing the comic strips, and I was completely lost the entire time. So I do watch it. I just didn't watch that one.
Bearded or Greg, I was watching your show last week and I was thinking about ideas. Have you and your wife ever done comic book covers? Like name that comic book cover. I I would love to see that. So I was sorry, I know that's like random and I'm like totally hijacking it, but
No, it's totally fine.
I would love to see do comic book covers like classic
That would be
ones.
cool. That would be cool. Or like, would it be one where it's like you see the whole cover, or you do just like a little section and try to pick out which cover
maybe
it
you
is?
do like a little section and like the first one that I was thinking was oh goodness, what Fantastic Four number is it where it's like the coming of Galactus and you see the Watcher on there, but you don't see that it's Fantastic Four, like you see the rest of it, but then I mean that might be a little bit too obscure for his wife, but I don't know, I was just thinking I love that show, like watching his wife try to like is that Spider-Man? It's
Yeah,
adorable.
it's pretty awesome. And I feel like the last one that they did, she was in this one, she was asking him to name the characters, and Greg was failing terribly. But to be fair, like they were like so like old like comic strip newspaper things. So like I was completely lost too. So I failed miserably on that. Andy says, "So awesome, Jennifer. I have a full thigh sleeve."
That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Andy's got some serious tattoos. You wouldn't know it, but Andy's got some serious tattoos. Yes, my wife has no legs. I realized that some people understood what I was saying. Jennifer understood, but some people apparently didn't. And there we go. Here we go again. You know, Greg just coming in here.
When you first said it, that's what I imagine. I'm like, oh, she has no leg tattoos. So
See,
yeah.
see, same brainwave. Okay,
Yeah.
we're on the same page. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh my God. Okay, so he said we did an episode where she took away characters on the cover.
Okay.
That had to be some serious like editing, because that's pretty awesome. I will say, Greg, that is definitely one of the coolest things that you do on your channel.
Yeah.
Is you do that, name that character with your wife, and that's like the perfect, that's the perfect thing. So that is super awesome. I'm trying to find something similar to get wifey to do it on my channel, but she's a bit camera shy. But remember I told you before we started that she does derby and she's been going to the skate park. So she's actually been filming herself doing all the stuff on the ramps and stuff. So maybe she won't be as shy now if we actually get her on to do a video. So it'll be cool. All right. So what questions do you have for me? I've been asking you all the questions now. Now it's your turn to interview.
I want to know like what got you into comic books? Like I know you said that you like mostly collect, but like do you recall a certain like memory or event that got you into comics?
All right, so I've lived in Texas all my life. I wasn't born here, but I've lived here all my life, and I used to live in Houston. So I remember being a kid going to Randall's grocery store and buying comic books off the rack at the grocery store. And that is my earliest memory of comic books. And for the longest time, I had a stack of like, I don't know, like 5 or 6, maybe 10 books that were not bagged and board. I didn't know nothing at the time. Nobody ever told me anything about it. And I had all of that for years and years and years. And then I don't remember what it was. I want to say probably me watching Finding Comic Tom 101, Alex the Comic Hoarder, Geekery with Dante D, and there might have been somebody else, but I started, YouTube rabbit hole, you just start and you can't stop. Yeah. And so I came across that and was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I've got some comics. Let me go see this. And then all of a sudden, then it's just like, okay, well, let me go check out a comic book store. And I found a comic book store, start going in there. And then the whole thing just snowballed. And I remember whenever the Venom movie was dropping, or it just dropped and it came out, the Donny Cates run started. And so I got right on at the beginning of that.
Yep.
and that's why I have the entire run, and I've got the graded 9.8 of the number 3. So yeah, that was like how it all just kind of snowballed, and then I was like, you know what? Like I could totally do YouTube. Let me show some books off. This would be kind of cool, and do hauls and whatnot. But yeah, earliest memory was Randall's at the grocery store getting comics. I still have some of those comics today. Unfortunately, I did have to throw some away because they were just so far gone. But I was able to find replacements that were in much better condition that I was able to get in bags and boards. So yeah, comic books have always kind of been around, but not as much as like some other people. But yeah, what else you got?
Do you have a like, as I know right now, there aren't very many conventions happening right now, or at least over the past year. What is your favorite comic book convention memory, if you have one?
So probably the biggest one that's going to stick out is when we went to Dallas Fan Expo. And the reason why it was such a huge, awesome moment was because Jason Momoa was there, and my wife got to get me and her a picture with the dude. So that was pretty sweet. She's got it up in her desk area.
Aw.
And she was super excited about that. That was definitely one of the coolest things. And then where was it? I went to a Dallas Fan Days, and I had some Deadpool. I had a Deadpool book. I gotta look it up now. It's the where is it? Where are you? Wait, here it is. It's this one. So this Deadpool run, with Scotty Young and Scott Hepburn, and so I got him to sign this cover, and I think that's like one of the only, if not the only, signed comic book I have. But it's really cool. That was the first time I actually got to meet an artist, and was like, "Hey, I got a book. Would you mind signing?" He's like, "Yeah, totally." But I will say it was awkward as hell because it's like, "Hey, can you please give me things? Like I've already bought it. Can you just do a thing?" That was weird. But yeah, the Jason Momoa, seeing him in person during the Comic-Con, that was pretty sweet. And just like being surrounded by like all the nerds and being able to see all the books and all the stuff, it was super awesome.
I'm not a like religious person whatsoever, but comic book conventions feel religious to me. Like it's a very inspiring moment, and I feel like every time I go to a comic book convention, like granted it's been a minute, but every time I go to one of those big conventions, and one of the last ones that I went to would either be MegaCon in Orlando or HeroesCon in North Carolina.
Okay.
But I just go to them and I'm like, man, if teenage, like a little awkward, nerdy teenager Jennifer could like see this right now, and
Right.
like that you're around your people, huh, like that just, it fills me with immense like love. I love that a lot.
Yeah.
Those moments.
So
Being
like I
around like
can
people, your people.
right. So I was when I was hanging out with Jason, the son of the comic geek, the other day. He told me that there is a local con that's happening here in Hurst or Euless, Texas, which is literally just like 20 minutes up the road. And he's going to be there. And then I think Who Dat is going to be coming over there too as well. So it's like get to actually meet some more people of the community at the things, because when I was getting into going to the conventions the first time, it was just me and the wife.
Yep.
So it's going to be really cool to see some people that I kind of know to like do these things. Unfortunately, because I live in Dallas, Texas, for me to go to C2E2, that's quite an expense to be able to fly out there, because I know I'm going to be buying a whole bunch of books, and you just can't put it on the card. You gotta come up with capital for it. But yeah.
It's so funny. So there's a I just recently moved to Portland like a year and a half ago, and like we were talking about before, Portland is such a comic book city. There's so many, like Image headquarters is maybe like 10 minutes from my house.
Oh, that's cool.
Dark Horse is maybe 20 minutes from my house. So many comic book stores here. and just so many comic book creators live here as well. But there's a big convention called Rose City Comic Con, and I
Okay.
just bought my tickets for Rose City Comic Con, and I'm so used to because when I lived in Florida, I lived about 4 hours away from Orlando, so I would have to like drive to I'd have to drive to Orlando, get a hotel, maybe rent a car. You're eating out all the time, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to be a 20-minute walk from the convention center and just be able to walk. I can stay in my own house. I can eat my
That's
own home
awesome.
food if I want to. And obviously, all that money that I would spend goes into buying shit at the convention.
Right. So like that's kind of the same thing because like to get to the Dallas Fan Expo, the only thing that we have to worry about is parking. But
And even
like
that's a nightmare.
right. So it's not too bad. Like being in Texas, everything is just spread the fuck out everywhere. It's just like everywhere. So just having to get to somewhere just is an event of itself. But yeah, I'm super. Oh my god, Knicks, kicks, and comics. I used to live in Flower Mound, so that's what's up. So if you're gonna be at Cowtown, yeah, we're gonna have to link up for that awesomeness.
See, there's the community. That's one thing that I love about this community, because I started my YouTube channel about a year ago, almost like in May
Yeah,
of
same,
2020.
same.
And so it's been incredible to find this community, especially over this last year. Like, I don't know how I would have made it through 2020 without this incredible community. And thinking about going to the convention, like meeting up with all the local people, like Bueller, Comics with Bueller is local here. So like I met him at
That's cool.
I met him at a shop a couple of weeks ago. And just so like thinking about those people, I can't wait.
Right. I'm super excited. I want to see the comic peeps and just like nerd out
Yeah.
over everything because it's a lot of fun. I met up with oh thanks Greg. I met up with Southern Comic Geek. He had to do some type of business in Shreveport and then he just hopped on over here just a few hours and we went to my honey hole here in Dallas and that's at the same time where I picked up the Tomb of Dracula number 60 or number 10 for $60. So it was really cool. That dude, if you are going to go hunting comic books with Southern Comic Geek, be prepared to be amazed at how much the dude is going to pick up and spend. Like the dude is insane on spending for comic books. It's just like, I'm talking like this giant stack. I can't believe it. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I know you do a lot of trades.
Mm-hmm.
Are you into omnibus?
No. And I would really, really love to be. But I feel like if I have to wait for an omnibus to come out, at that point I've already read it. And especially I would maybe get an omnibus of something that I like. So I love how they look on shelves. I think that they have a great shelf appeal. But when I think about the readability, like I've got this book right here that I've been trying to get through for the last week, and it's huge. And I feel like it's just hard to read a big book
Okay.
like this. So just thinking about like it looks beautiful on my shelf, but at the same time, it doesn't have an enjoyable read to me. And
Okay.
especially when it comes to like the Marvel omnibuses, I also have Marvel Unlimited. So for like $10 a month, I can already read all of those books
Okay.
and spend $100 or so in a year on what I would spend for one omnibus.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think it would be nice because just like with comic book collecting,
Mhm.
like book collecting is a thing.
Yeah.
So like this past year, I actually picked up the wife a Salem's Lot by Stephen King, like a really fancy like special edition, and I was kind of amazed at how much that book costs. But it's like one of those kind of special editions. So collecting books is definitely something that's like important and awesome. But like the omnibus thing, like that's a lot, and I think I would agree. I think it'd be really weird, awkward, and maybe uncomfortable. It'd be one of those where you have to read on a desk kind of thing rather than like be sitting in a comfy chair
Yeah.
and just like you end up getting, the desk marks on your arms, but from the book, yeah, that'd be a struggle.
Yeah, and like
Um,
I said, by the time that it actually comes out, I would have already wanted to read it, and
mhm.
especially thinking about, like, I'm reading single issues, if I like it, I've probably picked up the trade, and or even the hardcover, so then to even spend more money buying, like, 100 something dollars on the omnibus, it's not necessarily like, that's where my budget stops.
Right, right. All right. So, okay. So, man, there's been a lot of awesome
Yeah,
conversations. So, like,
mhm,
we just kind of blasted through all
we
this.
really did.
Um, what else you got? What other questions you got?
So, like I said, my biggest like if I had like one mission in comics, like one, I want to be the Carl Sagan of comic books. If you love science, you know who Carl
Mm-hmm.
Sagan is, and that's what I would like to be. And the reason why is because I want to make comics accessible for people. If you could point anything to like how to bring more people into comic books or like how to, you know, someone likes a movie, how do you get them into a comic book shop? Like how do we as a community bring more people in?
That is quite the question. Goodness
Three,
gracious.
two, one, go. How do we fix the comic book industry?
I don't know. That is a lot. I will say though that having more of a spotlight given the current market with MCU especially, um, definitely started to open the door a lot. But I don't know, it just kind of I don't know. I feel like it's like a certain type of person that wants to be a collector or for that matter read. I almost
Mhm,
kind of think like reading like comics is like a like a pastime kind of thing, maybe a little bit,
mhm.
especially for like the new generation and stuff. But I think I will say if like a trailer drops and you're like, man, that doesn't look right, that doesn't look right, maybe try to be more like, if you think that looks cool, you should come check this out and see
Mhm,
what it really looked like. And let me show you some other stuff that might not be in here that might tickle your fancy. And then that
mhm.
kind of starts the conversation. But I definitely will say, okay, so me and the wife, we just elect to not have children because children are just terrible. And they're just god awful. No, it's just not for
Yeah.
us. But if we were to have kids, you best believe my kids are going to be all thing nerd, like through and through. And so I just feel like having that like brought, that bringing upness with
Yeah.
comic books and characters, I think that's important because, like if you don't really have like that exposure to it at a certain point, then it just kind of like gets overlooked a little bit. So I think it's kind of a mixture of both of those. Like if people start seeing a trailer and they're like, oh, that kind of looks interesting, but I don't know much about it. And it's like, oh, boom, here you go. Go check this out.
Yeah.
I think being a little bit more cohesive in that, you know, like how Comic Man Andy says, it's like, get pumped, get ready. I love the interconnectivity of the tissue that is the comic book community and just bring more people. So yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. I think, and this is something because I used to work at a comic book store back in Florida, very, very part-time, and I really wished that there were a lot more people that, like, came and saw like, if, a big movie came out, how most of the people who came in were the weekly regulars who were coming to pick up their pull list, like, how do you translate people being pumped to see, like, Thanos on the big screen and get those people into the comic book store, like, I can't tell you how many conversations I have with people who were like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing today?" "Oh, I'm going to the comic book store." What? Comic book stores are still a thing? Like,
Mhm.
I wish I want to know how, so many people can watch Falcon and Winter Soldier or Scarlet Witch, and see, these shows on a weekly basis, but have never stepped into a comic book store. And I have a huge love for local comic book stores. So, like, how do we get more of those people into comic book stores? So,
I mean, it's just like the more that they see it and the more they like it, if it like really piques their interest enough,
mhm,
you know, I also think honestly, and this is going to sound terrible, but if it wasn't for the pandemic happening last year, I don't think our YouTube presence as a comic
Yeah.
book community would have exploded the way it did. And so I really think more exposure for that is really helping a lot. And, you know, for all the hate that Comic Tom gets for being a market influencer
Oh
and, you
God.
know,
Yeah.
just like doing all that kind of stuff, honestly, if it wasn't for him, like I wouldn't have the knowledge I have now that have now grown into more for a comic book collector and just being more of a, you know,
Yeah.
a guru of knowledge as far as that goes. So like I think it's important to maintain a level head, especially when new people are coming in, because like if you have new people coming in, they ask redundant or
Mhm.
useless
Maybe
questions. It's
silly questions, and
right.
I think that there's definitely that tendency to, like, gatekeep, and especially growing up, like, personally, like, growing up as, like, a nerdy kid and not seeing myself, like, reflected in things and being made fun of for that, and now it's like, being a nerd is a lot more accessible than it was. Like, how do I make sure that, like, I don't want to say bringing the right people in. Like, I don't want to gatekeep, right? Like, I don't want to be like, you are a nerd and you are like, I'm not the one
Mm-hmm,
who gets to decide who's a nerd, but at
mm-hmm,
the same time, I'm very protective of my space.
mm-hmm.
So like, how do I balance that? So I wouldn't want to be like, oh, like you don't know this about comics. Like I've done that, and I feel like I have to be like, no, comics are for everybody.
Right. And I definitely agree with that. It's definitely hard to watch certain channels
Yeah.
that like they bring up topics and talk about how Facebook groups and online forums and Reddit, God, Reddit, I love and hate Reddit, but
Yeah.
you know, just like bringing up all this negative and just trying to point out like certain things are wrong or incorrect. Like
Yeah.
it's important to do that with specifics, but at the same time, if you're going to bring that up, you shouldn't be trying to bash other people in the community
Yeah.
for it, or, you know, say people are, you know, incorrect and dumb because they didn't actually do the research. It's more
Yeah.
of like bringing it to the forefront. Hey, I did see this, but in reality, it's more like this. However, I can understand why you so and so person thinks it might be this, but this is what it kind of more so looks like to
Yeah.
me. Let me know what you think, blah blah blah. So yeah. Oh my god. Okay, Greg, I'm gonna kick you out because goodness gracious, you're being ridiculous. um it's tough. No, it's no. I'm not getting gatekeeped. But anyways, so I really think the comic book community has just done a great job over this
Yeah.
past year. Did you so with this past year in your love for your comic book shops, what did you do to kind of help keep comic book shops going for the past year? Because my shop that I had,
Mhm.
I participated in their Facebook live sales and stuff that they had
Oh,
going on.
okay.
Did you do anything similar?
The shops that I primarily go to one shop I get my pull list from. There's one or two others that I'll get like back issues or variant covers and things like that. And I wouldn't say this is necessarily me doing this, but one of the things that my shop, Books with Pictures, they did during the pandemic is that they set up so many creative ways to get comics into people's hand. So last year, around this time, Diamond, in order to put like certain measures in place, like COVID measures in place, they shut down production of a lot of things. So there was like a 2-month period where there weren't a lot of comic books actually coming out onto shelves. So my shop was very aggressive with getting their backstock into people's hands. So hand selling the books that they had on file, like the trade paperbacks that they had on file, making sure that people could go to their website and order things. And one of the things that my shop did that I will never forget. Um, the owner actually, if you had like a pull list coming out or you wanted these books, she would drive around and hand deliver you your comic books.
Damn.
So, like, I don't know anyone who would do that in any particular like business. I don't know many comic book shop owners that would personally do this, but like that's how much of a believer Katie at Books with Pictures is like in this industry, and I think the love that she has for the community. She and there were a couple months last year or a couple weeks where comics were just perpetually coming in late, right? So normally Diamond, you'll get a shipment on like Monday or Tuesday. The books come out on Wednesday. There was a week where books didn't come in until Wednesday. And Katie, the shop owner at Books with Pictures, hand delivered my comics to me on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Like a magical comic book Santa delivered me my
She
comics
have a
on
bow.
Christmas Eve.
She have a bow on your stack.
No, I think that she did have like a box, but I think she was wearing a Santa hat. I remember it being like
Oh
very,
my
very little.
God.
So anyways, like I think that over this last year, owners definitely had to get creative and get a little bit, our community needs to give back to the comic book stores as much as they give us.
Right. I think that's awesome. I haven't actually heard of a story like that where an owner was like driving around dropping people's
Yeah.
books off. That's pretty awesome.
Mhm.
Let's see. Nick's heading out. Later, Nick. We'll stay in touch. Now that I know you're in Flower Mound, so we're going to be going to all kinds of places for comic books. That's happening. Greg, I won't call you out for doing anything that you didn't actually do. If that makes sense. Did I say that right? Greg, you're awesome. Okay. We love you. I love you. Greg.
Appreciate you so much, Greg.
Greg. Wait, wrong one. Hold on. Greg, I love you. Okay. Yeah, so I definitely was very much a proponent of helping out my local comic book shop as much as possible. Unfortunately, the owner of my LCS, he did sell it to another owner. He just needed to move on and work on some other things that he was doing. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this new owner is going to do and change and whatnot. However, my go-to shop is Titan Comics for back issues because that man, Jeremy, he's the owner. He has done so much for me coming in and like calling my name out in the middle of the shop verbatim and just like, yo, you need to come look at this. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be good, but he's done so much for me. So like, it's been awesome. And like finding those shops that you trust and you go to all the time, you build that relationship. And so then they do that, it's like, hey, I'm in here. You know what I'm looking for. All right. And then you show me the goods. It's like, all right, maybe this is the week I can, or maybe it's not. But, having that interconnectivity tissue from Comic Man Andy is very important. And having more of that coming out of pandemic, I don't see it slowing down at all. And especially with all the super awesomeness, Andy, have a good night, man. Thanks for stopping by. All the super awesomeness with the stuff coming out is just, I'm so excited. Okay. This is what I'm most excited for all the shows. Hold on. I need Key Collector. I don't use Key Collector, but they have like nice categories and stuff all put aside. That sometimes they get stuff slightly incorrect, but they do have good lists and stuff. Okay. So, this is what I'm excited for. Okay, here we go. I'm excited for Eternals.
Yeah. Yep.
Love and Thunder. Wakanda Forever is going to be interesting. I am excited for Moon Knight and Blade, especially. Now, what are you most excited for the upcoming Marvel TV? Blah blah blah.
So I am actually stupidly excited. I think that I am the world's only member of the MODOK fan club. So I'm actually really excited for the MODOK show.
Okay.
That's coming out later next week, I think. So I'm really excited for that. I also am excited for Eternals, especially seeing like where it's going to go. Is it going to lean heavier on the Jack Kirby run? Is it going to be more heavily influenced by the Neil Gaiman run? Like, where is it going to go? Or of course the new run that's coming out with Kieran Gillen. And I'm actually, I don't know, this is kind of a toss up. I'm kind of excited to see the Black Widow movie. I do think that a Black Widow movie should have come out 10 years ago. Like, Black Widow should have easily been part of Phase 1. But
It makes more sense now, 2020, 2020 hindsight. Maybe it should have come out
yeah,
sooner. I'm I don't know. Like,
I'm
what,
hesitant
why,
I'm hesitant because it's been pushed back, and obviously for different reasons, but I'm getting flashbacks from New Mutants, where this movie got announced 5 years ago, got super pumped for it, then it got delayed, and then they're like, we're doing reshoots, and then we're doing re-edits, and then it's coming out, and then it's not. And then it ended up just kind of being a shit show of a movie.
right.
Like, that's easily one of the worst comic book movies I've ever seen.
I haven't
Um,
seen New Mutants, so am I really missing out on it?
you're
Or
really not. Like,
okay.
yeah. So I think that so I think that I'm excited for Black Widow, but also not.
Hmm.
Um, I'm also very, very excited to see Dr. Jane Foster Thor. So I'm very excited for Love and Thunder, and I'm a really big fan of Taika Waititi. So as Thor Ragnarok is easily one of my favorite comic book, like, MCU movies.
It's definitely like the top 3.
Hmm.
So for me, Captain America and the Winter Soldier is probably the number one.
Hmm.
Um, Ragnarok is definitely up there. And then like the third, fourth, and fifth can interchange for, but
Yeah.
yeah, Ragnarok was easily one of the best movies out of the
Hmm.
entire series.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to see Jane Foster Thor.
I didn't read all of that. I remember getting like the rundown either from Comicstorian or Comics Explained. I do remember seeing them do that, if not reading it myself. But
Hmm.
I am interested to see how that's going to go. I wonder if they're going to actually do the whole cancer route kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like they shouldn't, at least not in the first part. I think that it could Jane Foster could easily become part of, like, the next couple of phases, so I think that they may leave that out.
Hmm.
I we were kind of talking about these channels that, like, speculate a lot on new books, and I'm not a speculator, maybe a little bit, but I really hope that Angela comes into the Marvel
Hmm.
universe, and I think that we could definitely see Angela come into the universe with Love and Thunder.
There's a lot of solid speculation about that happening.
Hmm. Yeah. I think it'll
And
be tough because in Ragnarok, Hela took the place of their like, stepsister, where in the comics Angela is their stepsister. So I'm
yeah,
curious how they would, do that, but I would
because
love to.
technically Hela, if she's supposed to be, maybe I'm getting two things wrong, because like Hela was not like, she was like death embodiment kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So doesn't that mean that she was like the goddess of Helheim, which
Hmm.
would make that she is actually Loki's daughter? So it's like, what is going, like, I remember that like in the beginning, I was
Yeah.
like, that's a bit weird. What's going on here?
Yeah.
I would like to see what they're going to do with Angela. That would be really cool, considering that they got the rights from it, Neil Gaiman and all
Hmm.
that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the whole Todd McFarlane New York game was not like a super awesome thing, but we did get Angela.
We did get
Okay.
Angela.
And
Hmm.
I do have that book. That's an awesome book.
Same.
Um, so Come On Mama did say New Mutants was the letdown. And then Daymare's What's Going On? MODOK will either be great or stink. Can't tell by the ads yet.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually saw the MODOK thing, but
My
I'm
only
not a fan. I think he's
Ooh,
weird. He's
he
weird.
is weird, and that's why I think he's an adorable little asshole. Um, yeah.
The only thing I saw recently from MODOK was from uh, Hulk Maestro.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
That was the only thing I've seen recently from MODOK, but like I never MODOK is like an evil guy, but I never felt like he was like evil, you know.
And he's, when I think about villains that I really love Magneto, but I think that especially with Chris Claremont giving him such a fascinating backstory. I don't think that MODOK has been really given that, but MODOK did have a really interesting run that just ended they did a 4-issue miniseries called Head Games that was really enjoyable, co-written by Patton Oswalt, who is voicing MODOK in the series,
Oh, okay.
upcoming series, that I really, really enjoyed. So I'd recommend there. Like if you started with anything, start with that run.
Okay. So how do you like Michael Fassbender as Magneto?
I love Michael Fassbender so much. I know that in order for all of them, for us to get mutants in the MCU, which I hope that we do, they would definitely need to recast Magneto. If they could just like slip in like one little nod to him, I really, really, I appreciate him as an actor a lot.
Michael Fassbender is definitely one of the most amazing actors of that generation. Like I really liked the First Class, like the reboot with all that. Like that was so good. So good. I love those characters and how they did them, and just like perfect casting, but for newer people, not like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, which are for sure like the quintessential Professor X and Magneto. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. So, all right. Well, we've been going strong here, Jen. This has been awesome. Time has flown by.
Seriously, it has.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me here.
I'm trying to get I'm trying to get that demographic in here a little bit. Not gonna lie, but you've been a super awesome person in the community, and I love watching your stuff, and I love trying to learn more about the indie stuff, and you just nerding out about it. So I wanted you on so we can totally awesome. So thank you for coming on. Make sure you guys go follow her. Comics Will Break Your Heart. Her handle on Instagram actually says Comic Books Will Break Your Heart. So it's a little bit different. My wife was like, did you do it right? Because the Instagram is a bit different. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure. But I did get it right. So make sure you follow her on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. And when do you do your live? Because you only do a live, right? That's it, right?
So yes, on Sundays, Mars, that comic girl who has her own channel, we go live on Sundays. We've been playing around if we like Sunday mornings, Sunday evenings. And so we go live on my channel every Sunday for like a casually comic Sunday chat. And usually we're talking about like books that came out this week that we read, maybe just like hauls that we came out with. But we also do a rundown of the previous month's first issues, like new series and first appearances that came out. We also do a preview. So like, what should you be pre-ordering from your shop? So we'll do that. And we do that on my channel. I have tried to do edited videos, but I hate them so much and I'm not good at it whatsoever. So for now,
it takes time and practice. It really does.
It does. And, so I've got a couple things that I've been like working on that I would like to do edited, but for now I'm just going to stick with lives.
Yep. That's awesome. So Sundays when you do it.
I also do a show with Comic Talk Live on Will to Beast where I hang out with Greg. I'm not sure if Greg Bearded Comic Bro is still here, but I do get to hang out with him and a whole bunch of other incredible folks on Friday nights over on Will to Beast channel.
Awesome. So there you go. That's where you can find Jennifer. Comics Will Break Your Heart. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate it. And then, like always, you can find my content on Thursdays. Every Thursday, the new video drops without fail. Then the Monday Night Jibber Jabber every Monday night at 8 p.m. CST. Make sure you guys stay tuned for this week. I'm going to be dropping probably some previews for stuff I'm going to put up for the auction on Friday on Skeps Comics Knowledge channel with me, Andy, Comic Man 80, and Justin Comics. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. I will put some books down that are probably going to definitely going to be up for sale. So make sure you don't miss that. So with that being said, you guys, thank you guys for watching. This has been awesome. You guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see you on Thursday. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.